would people value having it documented and having it go online so people can, others can see it?
All right, so we'll get started. My name is Sandra Aguilar. I'm the Deputy Chief of Student Services. So that means that I supervise the wraparound services in our district. So we have a division that's called Community Schools. How many have you guys heard of community schools? Like that whole, there's a whole department that does mental health, health and wellness, discipline, attendance, and we also have special education. So those are the two major departments that I supervise. They were somewhat starting to merge together last year, and the whole approach was that we were going to create a student services division. So that's my role in our district. Tonight we have Nina Gawa.
Yes, hi, my name is Nina. I'm Director of Schools for Special Education. Thank you all for coming.
And we also have many Reading Clinic staff here, but tonight who will be speaking to us, I'm sure more people will join in. You want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Daniel Silverson. I'm the lead teacher at the Reading Clinic.
Michaela Reinstein, Reading Clinic.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'm Teresa Marner. I work at the Reading Clinic.
We can continue to do introductions if that is okay with people. So go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Katie Hunter. I'm a third grade teacher at Passion Elementary. I'm Willie Bailey. I'm also a third grade teacher at Passion Elementary.
I'm Giselle, my son is Stephen Elementary School, and I'm supporting Sorry, I'm a parent. My name is Giselle. My son goes to Cleveland Avenue Elementary Schools, and I'm supporting him.
I'm Jennifer Saul. I'm a parent supporting the Reading Clinic, and I have 7th grade twins at Chabot of the Reading Clinic.
I'm Ashley Lamell. I'm a resource specialist.
Craig Markwood, I'm a parent of a first grader at Mount Kyle Elementary.
Chica Rosa, I'm a community special education actor.
Chris Bonjanae, I'm a
We'll go this way and we'll go to the.
I'm also a James Farmer. I was a resource teacher.
Now we're going to
Steve Fitzgerald.
Sarah Hopkins, I'm a speech pathologist in the district. I'm formerly working at Redwood Heights with the Reading Clinic SBC classes as the Reading Clinic advocate. Happy to be here. Judy Wolf, resource specialist at Laurel School.
My name is Karen Morton, and I'm here to represent the Reading Clinic. I'm Lisa Lewis, and my son Joseph goes on the Reading Clinic. He's here as the Reading Clinic.
Our class resource specialist at Chabot. Liv Belanger, resource specialist at Mount.
Susie Vogler, parent of a child in the Reading Clinic.
Cynthia Lusk, parent of a child who's benefited greatly from the Reading Clinic.
I'm Amanda Seaton. I'm a special ed teacher in the Oakland.
I'm Kristen, Yona's mom, who's at Brewer, and I'm one of the co-chairs of this case.
Naomi Katz. I'm a resource specialist at International Community School, and I'm also representing over 100 parents from the school who have signed letters advocating to keep the clinic open.
Mark Yergood. I'm speaking against any cuts to the services for the Reading Clinic and the students in the clinic. I'm a special education teacher at Edmund Brewer, and I'm secretary of the Oakland Education Association Union and part of the Equal Opportunity Now and Civil Rights Caucus of the Union.
My name is Mayra Rivas, and I have a son who goes to Redwood Heights Elementary School. He's been benefited with the reading cleaning services for like 2 years already. And I'm against all this cutting down with a full-time pre-clinic for 2-hour pre-clinic. I'm not signing that.
I'm Daniel Strauss. I'm also a staff member at the Reading Clinic.
I'm Catherine Durr. I'm raised and born in Oakland, and worked for over 30 years in Oakland School District. And I was part of the original group that was initially started in 2001 with the reading.
I'm Karen Glassman, resource specialist teaching in college, 25 or 30 years, and then I worked out as a non-public school TSA, so seeing things from the other side a little bit, and also
Want to introduce yourself? With the reading clinic. And then, side over here.
I'm Lolita Livingston. I'm an instructor at the reading clinic.
Lisa Blakely, my child has benefited from the reading clinic. I'm an advocate for all children who are benefiting from accessing the reading clinic. And of course, I'm here to advocate for no cuts to any of the special programs that have definitely made a difference in our children's lives.
And then, Miss in the back.
I'm Mona Munoz. I'm a parent in the district, and just want to be aware of all the ways that these cuts are impacting our students.
Okay, so thank you for the round of introductions. This evening, we will go through just a couple of data points about our district and the students that we serve in special education. And if you don't have a handout, they are right here as well. You didn't get one. And we'll also project, it's still projected in case you run out of copies. Here's another one. So we'll just go through a couple of data points. I won't take you through all of, if you were here at the last CAC meeting, we went through quite a lot of slides before we got to the reading clinic. And so we'll dive right into the reading clinic plan. And then at the end, we'll do some next steps and then collect your feedback on the proposal. Okay? Okay, so for each year, just the state of California has us report on the numbers of students that we serve in special education. So each December, we give the state updated figures. And so I thought it was pretty striking just to see that how much we have grown in serving students in our district. So for December of 2013, we started off at 5,085. And just to this year, December of 2016, we are at 5,458 students. So quite an increase over the last 3 years. And even since then, in April of 2017, so this year, we have a tracking system that's called SAFE. And we have 5,974 students that are now qualified for special education. On top of that, we have 500 pending assessments. So quite a lot of students that are qualifying for special education services. Any questions about that, those data points? Okay.
Just to be clear,
Yeah.
on average, about 74% of the kids who are assessed qualify.
Do you want to say that louder?
Yeah, so I just want to say, at least from the position of looking at a learning disability, which is what I can speak to, about 72 to 74% of the kids we assess qualify. So, of the 500.
So also just to provide some information around the type of services that, sorry? Oh, I didn't see it.
Well, I was wondering whether or not the 5,000 number represented all services or just specialty class students and resource students.
So it's all of our
So
services.
it's speech and
Yeah.
language.
I'm going to give you some points on the types of services that we have that we're offering or that students are qualifying for. So again, the December dates are because we report to the state in December. So these are our figures for 2014, 2015, and 2016. And then on the first column, we have all the services. So you We can see that for mental health, we've had a dramatic increase of serving 504 students to now serving 766 students. Another large increase has been health and nursing. So students that we are providing medical services to, so from 333 to 472, so again, an increase. Our language and speech, so students qualifying for speech services from 1,621 to 2,614.
Is
Yes.
there an interpreter for Spanish?
I can do that if you'd like. We did schedule somebody, but I don't see that they're here.
You don't have those services?
Sorry?
You don't have the interpret the services?
Set up the interpreter.
We set them up, but I don't know what's happened. They're not here. So I can do the interpretation if I can do that.
So you will say all this in Spanish?
I'll come over right now because this is the last slide that I'm saying. So as other people do their parts, I'll come and translate. All right, and so the last one is specialized academic instruction. There are 2,924 students in 2014 qualifying, and fast forward to now, we have 4,282 students that are qualifying for specialized academic instruction. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Nina.
Since our last community engagement, we met with our fabulous reading clinic teachers and staff who are here today. We met on May 24th and on May 31st. And during these meetings, we discussed the possible solutions to expanding training and serving more students. We discussed student referral data and possible sites for expansion. And after reviewing different proposals and transportation logistics, the reading clinic teachers put together a proposal and information that we would like to share with you all today. We want to keep our primary focus on serving more students throughout OUSD and training for our teachers. I will hand it over, I don't want to take up too much time. These meetings were actually really productive and we spent quite a bit of time thinking through different ideas. But I'll hand it over to Daniel, who's our lead teacher for the reading clinic, to go over the proposal.
I just first want to thank you guys at Technology for being here. It was fascinating. Thanks for showing up for the reading clinic and also for special ed kids who are Oakland. We really appreciate it. So I also acknowledge that our proposal does come a long way from the fear of the full elimination of the reading clinic program. Our proposal has been modified a little bit by the district and we eliminate one full-time position and also our self-contained program, which I think we can discuss later tonight, but we will present our plan that I think will help serve students in a comparable model. So we will continue to have the reading clinic model in the morning and at our 3 hub sites. One of the hub sites may change to a different school site. We want to increase the afternoon clinical program from 1 session to 2 sessions so that we can serve more students in the afternoon. It's a 2-hour session in the afternoon, and break that up into 2 45-minute sessions and serve the students at the school sites where our clinic hubs are housed. So that's at Burkhalter, Piedmont, Burkhalter, Hoover, and possibly expanding to another one. It's currently Hills. Currently is again, the acceptance to the reading clinic program will be based on the referrals that come in from resource specialists throughout the district or special ed classifiers throughout the district. As the referrals come in, I will review them if they're appropriate for clinic service. We will accept them into our program, we will go through and assess the students and then accept them into our program to provide services. We'll assess and monitor the students' progress and goals throughout the years. I will also begin working on a coaching model because as we grow the program, we want to build out a coaching model in the afternoon so that we do the clinical model in the morning and then in the afternoon we go out to the sites and help support schools. And for this year, for 2017-2018, our staff, with my help, will help plan to pilot the coaching model that will be implemented some this year, and also in 2018, 2019 school year. And also we'll provide bi-monthly PE and early literacy to school sites as we go out and I make inroads with schools. Does anyone have any questions about that? Sorry, that was a little fast. Yeah.
By removing the afternoon sessions, how many kids will be affected, or how are they going to be shifted to the morning session?
Yeah,
Are more rooms per side during the morning?
It's a good question. Basically, we'll be able to see double the amount of students, but it does cut down on what schools we can see them from what schools we can see them from. So right now, part of the beauty of the Community Clinic program is that it's open to anyone from any school site. If you need services, if you're struggling with reading, we can transport you to the clinic and provide services. But as transportation costs are too expensive and there's other issues, we want to try and serve the kids at the school site. For that, so in the morning from 8:30 to noon, there's 2 sessions. There's 8:30 to 10:10, and there's a 10:20 till noon. We would still open that as a clinical model where the students could be transported from their school sites to the clinic and back to their school sites. What's that? 36 kids. Actually, yeah, it'll be 36 kids in the morning, as opposed to what we have now. We serve a total of the clinic of about 60 kids. So we'll be cutting down, we'll be adding extra kids, but those kids will only be the kids served at those school sites. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just either not hearing right or it's, you're only going to be serving students at those school sites?
In the afternoon.
Oh, in the afternoon. But in the morning, the model would be the same, but the time would be less than that?
No. In the morning, the time will be exactly the same. We have the next slide is going to show it. But we have the, we go to the next slide. So yeah, again, we would have 4 sessions. So like currently how the network from there to the clinic model. So I'll explain. So the kids are at their home site or at their homes. They get picked up by the bus. They get transported to our clinics, whether it's Hillcrest or Coulter or Hoover. They come there from 8:30 to 10:10, and then they're transported back to their school sites. And then they come in from 10:20 till noon. Okay, so that would be the same clinical model that we have.
So in the afternoon, it would only be at those 3 sites and not available to students from other sites?
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of serving more students, because we can't transport them again in that certain amount of time, but we can service more kids at those school sites.
And the other school sites would presumably be served?
Yes, but unfortunately, yes, I agree, Barbara, that some students would be missing out.
So the transportation from that 12 o'clock kind of slot, they get picked up from their school, then take back to their school? And why is the number going down? How many students you can serve in that morning?
The number that we serve in the morning is staying the same.
It's going down because they're cutting one. It's going down because they're cutting one full-time position. So instead of 10 instructors, there will be 10.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is for the afternoon session.
Yeah.
So let's say, okay, you're at Hoover, and there's kids at Hoover, I'm assuming you can serve, but there's probably other kids in other places.
Certainly.
So will those people be placed at Hoover through the IEP process?
That is an interesting question. I mean, that's one thing that I certainly think could happen, because that in order to get the services, yes, I think a placement at Hoover, like making it kind of a reading sort of magnets.
You guys are working with the design office to make sure.
Well, we haven't yet, but once we identify the sites where we're getting the most referrals, we will absolutely.
So you're going to target the third referral sites to kind of where you're getting more referrals.
I mean, I think that both at what we see is like at Hoover and at Burkhalter, we certainly can fill the clinic. There's a certain level of need there, and we can fill the clinic with, you know, if we're doing 2 groups in the afternoon, that's 4 more kids for each clinician. So we're adding to our population. We have 4 sites today. So again, as I said before, we have Redwood Heights, Hillcrest, Burkhalter, and Hoover, and unfortunately, as a proposal was modified, we're losing our program at Rutgers, which is a self-contained program. I think that Sandra can speak to
We
that.
can speak to that. The students that are in the reading clinic SDC right now, where are they going?
That's a good question.
Because I have a student in that class and I'm very interested.
Yeah, I think that we're working that out, trying to provide placements for them and also provide reading clinic services to them to try and make comparable what the services they were getting before. Yeah.
Are the afternoon sessions supposed to serve kids without IEPs too?
No, the afternoon sessions are supposed to serve students with IEPs.
It's like a higher tier 2 means, I'm sorry, it's a higher, like
What is
another
tier 2
level
refer
up.
to then?
What does that mean?
Yeah, a tier 2 level is opposed to, so most of the kids that come into the reading clinic are reading in the first percentile. So they're some of the lowest readers that we would see. And we're able to make these gains with them. But one of the things that we want to try and pilot, because the district wants us to move out into the district, is to see how we can work with different profiles of students. So maybe a kid who just needs, a few months of intervention that we can provide, and we can bump them back into class, and then we can bring in another kid. So if they're at the school site, it gives us a little bit more flexibility in order to, bump them in and out, as opposed to setting up transportation, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So students that are being served in the afternoon, will they be less needy as such? Because 45 minutes is not a lot of time. It's
Yeah.
structure of the program.
Yeah. We're going to be looking for different profiles too. We're still going to look for kids who need reading intervention, but we are going to look for different profiles.
And I have another second question.
Yeah.
Schools that are identified where you are now, satellite.
Yeah.
How large are those students and how needy are those populations? It seems to me in the past, it was always around schools that were near freeways or whatever. And, if I'm correct, a school like Hoover is very small.
Hoover is growing, but also Hoover, another issue for us, right, is we take up a decent amount of space, so making sure we have appropriate space for our program. But also, Hoover is close to a freeway and it's in West Oakland, so we can sort of get those schools in West Oakland. Burkhalter is right off 73rd, right off the freeway. There's a nice space for us there, and also we get served by most of East Oakland from that site. Because kids can come up the hill, kids can come.
And is Redwood Heights just for the special day class?
So currently, Redwood Heights has both the inclusion model and the special day class model, and we're losing both.
Why are we losing both?
Who can talk to that?
We can talk about it.
I can just wrap up really quick, and I'm sure they're happy to. And also, if you guys have concerns about the afternoon, we wrapped this up. We were trying to figure out solutions to serve more students in our program because we found that the clinical model has been the most successful model for our program. And having the kids in the clinic, it's been effective. So reaching more kids in the clinical model seemed to be the logical way to
So I heard you say that this wasn't the original proposal.
Like I said before, the modification was we're losing a FTE, we're losing a full-time employee clinic, so as opposed to 10 or 6 full-time teachers, we're going down to 5. And we're also losing the self-contained and the increased model. So we're losing that staff.
I just have a question on, if you hold constant the quality of instruction, what does the data say about how much time you actually, how much value do you add, do you get based on the level of instruction?
Like a minute?
Well,
It's like a standardized score.
No, what are your findings about how much time you actually need to make a difference in terms of outcomes?
Well, I think that the model that we have, right, is 500 minutes a week and for the morning and 480 minutes for the afternoon. And we found that model is successful. So we're gonna try to see if we're gonna do less minutes in the afternoon and see if that's effective or not. Because again, the way that they want us to go is to more of a coaching model over out at sites. So we're trying to find ways that we can be effective.
I just was wondering how much, I'm assuming the quality of the instruction is probably pretty uniform based on time. Just how much added time do you need to get a bigger bang for this cost? Do you know? I don't know. Because they always had the same amount of time.
We've always had the same amount of time.
Right.
It's
So
been,
now we'll actually cut that.
Yeah, exactly.
Say, hey, the more that takes you better than the other kids.
Exactly. And then we can, this is a program that has been data driven. So we will look at that and try and have that drive our instruction going forward. I'm going to go to
I'm
Chris.
just going to say one thing about the time, because I do think we had a little bit of experience with a related issue that sort of speaks to that. And when we first started out,
Sorry, it's really hard to hear.
when we first started out, we played with the number of kids in the groups. And one of the things we found really early on was that the difference between a group of 2 kids and a group of 3 kids really slowed the instruction down considerably. So we struggled with that for a couple of years because we would have preferred to do 3 if we could figure out how to do it. And then over the years also in looking at other programs, Oregon Gillingham and some other things that do similar approaches, most all of those programs say in their literature, you can do up to groups of 4 or 5, but 2 is the best. So it seems to be a consistent finding for people doing this type of instruction, direct instruction, that's structured and sequenced, which is multisensory, that the group size 2 works best. And I think it speaks to the time, because it's really very much a direct instruction where you're interacting with the student directly. And when you have 3, it cuts down time. So it does make it seems to make a difference. But we don't have direct data on that.
Well, I was going to talk to 2 kids I have this year who couldn't maintain focus for the full 100 minutes a day because of their attention problems. And they split the 2 kids into 60-minute and 60-minute sessions. One was very successful, and one wasn't successful just because of his learning profile anyways. So I have seen with the attention problems going down for a smaller amount of time being successful, but then it was really, depending on the kid's profile too.
Yeah, also like in the afternoon, it's a different kind of ball game. Like in the morning, you usually get your maximum. In the afternoon, it's a little bit more squirrely. So I thought that was the time to kind of break it up.
And that's when the packages in the afternoon.
Mark.
Yeah, I want to highlight too the beyond next year, the 2018-19. It appears to me that the afternoon stuff just disappears, and in terms of the coaching in 18-19 and the beyond, there's only 2 sessions in the morning starting in 18-19. Is that?
Yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, I think that is the model that they're wanting to move us towards. Okay.
But that wasn't part of your plan?
Yes, part of my plan was to have us do some coaching in the afternoon and having us go out. So yes.
But you do want to maintain the plan?
The most important, the most effective part of our program is the clinical model. It's comparative to private clinics. It's very important for us, in my mind, to keep hold of that clinical model, to not lose that. But I also understand the district's desire to have us have a higher reach in the district. So trying to find a balance where we maintain the clinical model, where we're serving students in that clinical setting, but we're also, reaching more. I'm going to go with Amanda.
My concern was with the morning sessions and looking at it through an equity lens, that with less number of students in this program, it's going to end up benefiting those parents who advocate more, who maybe have lawyers, have more resources, and those are going to be the kids that end up receiving these services. So I'm really glad that Hoover and Horticulture are 2 of the sites because I think that partially addresses that concern, but not completely. And I know inequity cut is part of our larger district vision. So I think, especially with these kids you're serving that are in the 1 percentile, students that are struggling to learn to read, it's so important that that equity piece is looked at when there's the 36 kids or whoever that are still going to be able to benefit from that 2-to-1 instruction.
match. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I share your concern. And part of my big concern going forward when they talked about plans initially was that we would only be serving those kids. And I think in this model, at least, it's open to me to go through the referrals and just place kids, you know, some that have advocacy, but also kids just based on and then also serving kids at 2 sites that certainly have a high level.
Yeah, I just wanted to say as far as the ratio and the time, you know, what I get is mostly anecdotal from my students and their parents with it's an individual reading clinic, but it's always a big focus that the length of time that's devoted to just reading instruction and with the 2-to-1 ratio is absolutely crucial, and that it's so important, and it's so, you know, it's so much a part of the success, which we've seen a ton. And I also just am a little bit wary of that comparison between the morning sessions and the afternoon sessions as far as like, you know, could we do what we do with less time, because you did mention that you're looking at a different student profile, and you know those students may be able to do more with less. So I just, you know, want people to really understand that even though it seems like really excessive, that big amount of time and that really low ratio is just so key. It's so important.
And I think that everyone here is here because of the
power
of the program.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we're holding on to your life
Yeah.
to the clinical model.
Absolutely.
Because it's powerful.
Yeah.
And it works. Barbara.
Just clarify again exactly the numbers, only talk about in the morning. Currently, right now, all day, how many students are you serving?
56.
56, and is that including the?
That's not including this.
Okay, so 56, and then how many would you be serving in the morning in the new model? 36, so we're dropping from 56 to 36 students, even though the number of students who are qualifying for and receiving specialized academic instruction, mostly resource specialist services, has gone up astronomically on the floor by that number, because it's almost 50% increase. You're dropping by like almost 20% the number of students that you'd be serving, because what you're calling tier 2 and in the afternoon might be well equipped at those schools, but for the other 30 or 40 schools, it doesn't, we're not in on that.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the choir for me, but like, I also think that, you know, if we're going to lose an FTE, and even if we did the afternoon like we're doing it now, our numbers are going to be even lower than this, and even lower than we have now.
Yeah, but losing one FTE doesn't drop you down to 20 students.
Well, we're actually going to gain students, we're just not gaining students from all over.
Right.
Yeah, which I agree is an issue, but I mean, if we opened up the transportation in the afternoon, you know, we're still not going to be not where we are now.
Yeah, it's just a little frightening to think about who won't be getting in on that model. And I did say at the last meeting that we had here how the idea of resource specialists being able to provide the same service at the school site is unfortunately not true. And I'm a really good example of that because I came from the clinic and I have all the materials, I have all the training, but what I don't have is the ability to serve students for 90 minutes a day in a group of 2. Because I have 28 to 30.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real struggle, right? Like we know we have this really strong program and how to bring it or if it's possible to bring it out to more sites and more students because of the need for reading throughout the district.
Is the school still have pickup days on Wednesdays?
Yes.
Then how do you work around that at the school sites?
It's the same thing that we do in the clinic, and they don't count. Yeah.
So they would only serve 4 days a week? at half 45 minutes, so 160 minutes per week. One of the beauties, when I was working in a clinic, we were all at one site. One of the beautiful part of that, one of the beautiful things was that we were able to collaborate, work with each other, switch groups as it was needed. Personalities, because it's a very intense program. Some kid might not respond to me, but work well with someone else. And at the time I worked, switches were made. Switches were made depending on the progress of the students. I don't see that as a possibility in this model at all.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree with you that moving to 3 sites, although geographically makes sense for a city as large as Oakland, is a challenge for me because I'm trying to get kids that are inappropriate. Or I'm like, oh, I need 1 kid from West Oakland, but there's not that many kids from West Oakland.
And I do worry for people like me because to me it's watering down the program, which then makes it just go away. And this program has been in place since 2001. It took us a long time to develop the program because every year it got changed a little bit. We're tweaking it left and right. Originally, it was just serving the resource specialist students in the elementary schools. And a couple years later, special day class children were added in. Then a little while later, junior high school kids were added in. High school kids were added in. People who had IEPs at the high school level, they were putting them in without our permission. And it was creating a lot of problems. And now I see it, like since I've been retired for 8 years, there's been a lot of changes, and I really begin to question how much, the district has really wanted to invest in this expensive program, which is actually paying off for a lot of students. Instead of having one child benefit because of a lawsuit or something, you're serving 30 or 40 students. You're talking about 30 and 40 lives versus one when there's a litigation case that comes up.
So can you talk a little bit about what the coaching aspect of this proposal and what you think it will result in terms of overall benefit for a large number of students receiving specialized instruction, most of which have reading disorder?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the big things for us was that we were going to be thrown into this year, so we wanted to sort of slow the brakes on that and take some time to actually plan a program that we thought would make sense and that we could actually act and be effective because we all know that the clinic is effective. So when we go out to sites, how are we going to maintain that effectiveness, right? So that is going to lead us to the next slide, and then take over for me. But yeah, I mean, I think that the idea would be that we would go out, we would help train resource specialists, we would go out for 8 weeks at a time to a site, talk about resource specialists. Yeah, it's going to be hard to do what we do, and or it be possible. So, giving them some sort of tools on, maybe even doing some intervention with students, and then going to it.
So, again, this was a compromise. So obviously we all at the meeting clinic know what's really great for students. We were asked to kind of change our model completely to do only coaching next year. So this is a compromise. And we all wanted to be prepared to start the coaching model. So next year, while we are maintaining the clinical model, our plan is to plan for a coaching pilot. So the district has agreed to give us that time because without the time to plan, it wouldn't be an effective coaching program.
Sorry, question. So whose idea was it to come up with a coaching model? Is there data to support that the coaching model is an effective strategy, effective intervention strategy, or is it an effective laboratory strategy? I want to know who's actually making it. People are here, we're here with our time to learn about these proposals, and I want to know an answer to that question. Who made the decision around the coaching model? Who decided that that was an appropriate model? And can you talk to us about the data that you have that supports that? Because we have a resource specialist here who's already clearly articulated that she hasn't trained, so she wouldn't even need coaching, and she's still not able to implement it. We've had the program since 2001. You haven't implemented anything that has been effective in the classroom. And so you come up with these ideas, We're sitting here with our valuable time, our precious children. Someone must be responsible, and someone must stand up and speak about that. No disrespect to you, but it's not true. It's someone else. And I'd like to hear you tell us how you came up with that idea.
So what I can just start by saying that one of the things that we did start this school year is one thing we did start this school year is professional development for all of our teachers, the third Wednesday of the month. And the last couple of months it has been our reading clinic teachers providing professional development and training. When we did do teacher surveys, almost 80 to 85% of them did say that they would love to learn more about the reading clinic. When we did go out and look at other districts, one of the things that they're doing with reading, similar reading clinic models is doing demo classrooms where teachers actually go and look at what their reading instruction is looking like. For example, right now we don't have any teachers going in and looking at what Daniel, Michaela, some of our other teachers are doing. So one of the things that we were thinking about coaching is not only having our reading clinic teachers go out to certain school sites, but also to have various teachers, STC teachers, resource teachers, to go take a look at the clinical model to see what's happening there. And one of the data points that I can speak to is our teacher surveys that we received back after 2 months of the Wednesday PD. We want to learn more about this. We're excited about this. A lot of our new teachers feel like we would love if we can have even demo classrooms where we could go observe.
Also, I was just translating for the parent, but something that was started last year was the satellite schools, and then the model was supposed to be that there would be coaching in that particular approach, and so this was something that she's now the interim superintendent, but she had developed this model. And asked for the reading clinic teachers to take on coaching this past year. And so we would like to see that through. They did offer professional development at a Wednesday session to our teachers. And so that was seen as successful. And they would also like to receive more from our reading clinic teachers. So, yes.
I just want to say, as a teacher, there's no amount of coaching that's going to help me when I have a classroom of like 25 or 28 students. And I know these ones teachers are already sweating even thinner than we are, and there's no way, I don't see this working. I see it written out in black and white. I hear a lot of talk about it, but this is not going to work. And we're going to be failing our kids for the next few years if we do this. This is what my prediction. And then we're going to have to clean that mess up and start something new.
But can you tell us exactly the names of the names?
So I'm Sandra, that's Nina, and then Devin Dillon was the designer initially last year, and so we're seeing through a coaching model, and so I understand that there's some concern about it. Our teachers will have some time to plan that out, and then.
There's strong opposition, and what you shared with us has nothing to do with evidence-based data that shows you are making a difference in the work that you're supposed to be doing with our children. That's what we asked you about, not a survey, not a whimsical wish, no disrespect to any teachers, but a survey. You're an educator, right? You know the difference between evidence-based data, research, evidence that proves that this outcome works, and an idea. And you guys need to stop experimenting with our children. You need to experiment with that budget and get that straight. And now our children and what you're doing there. That's what you need to do. Stop experimenting with our children.
I think one of the things that we're forgetting here, as we talk about kids that are struggling with reading, these are not just kids that are struggling with reading. These are kids whose all other methods have failed, and have failed
miserably. And we get to have kids in 5th grade and going into middle school that can't even read at first or second grade level. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. These are not just kids that just go take resource classes. Kids that qualify for the reading clinics have proven that everything else has failed. This has always been the last resource that we have to help our kids. And if it hasn't helped them to read before, having the struggles that they have already gone through for many years, it's not going to help now. Second thing, one of the reasons why the program is successful is repetition, time, and dedicated time to few people. If you're going to coach your teachers, have that be at a different time. Have all the resources. There's continuing education for teachers to be able to be credentialed. Let that be an emphasis for their credentialing. Don't use money. And I understand that you have budgetary problems, but I also understand there's federal money for these kids specifically that doesn't come out of OUSD budgetary amounts. I mean, let's think of a solution in which our kids are not going to get affected. Let's just think a way to make it work and serve these kids where you have failed miserably as a district. Let's think for the next generation. We're talking about every meeting that I've been attending to with the district. They talk about a blueprint. I'm sorry, under Common Core, if your kid is not reading efficiently by 3rd grade, you will fail. Our kids will fail. We're talking about the amount of kids that we're serving under special education. How many kids can we actually drop from special education if we just emphasize resources early on and we prevent these kids rather than targeting later in the later years where their brain is not going to take the same amount of information as they can currently have. I mean, let's just kind of be real with that.
That's a requirement, but the requirement is also to improve special education programs for students with dyslexia. I don't understand how reducing the services you're providing is an improvement in the program. And we also require that this plan be developed in collaboration with professionals, teachers, and parents. Those are all requirements in the bill that you're not currently meeting. So I'm going to just again bring that to your attention that this isn't legally compliant with what you're doing. And this being frank. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so,
One more comment. I want to challenge the idea that the reading clinic has been effective in this satellite model. Like the woman here spoke earlier, that it doesn't have the collaboration anymore between the teachers that was so necessary. I mean, we all know even that common planning time is so important between teachers, and we don't have that in the satellite situation. For the first time in my experience of being 12 years in the district, the schools that I serve as a resource specialist don't want to apply for their kids to go into the reading clinic in these satellites, because what's happening is that the groupings, which are so important, which used to be so crucial when these 60 kids would come in on buses and they'd be able to group them and put a lot of thought into how they would group these kids according to their reading levels. Now it's whoever gets off the bus. They group them. So I've had 4 students coming between TCN and ICS going to, not Brookhalter, the other one. Hoover, thank you. And one was at a higher reading level, one was at a lower reading level, but because they only had 4 kids and 1 or 2 clinicians there, those kids were put in groups with each other that they didn't belong in. So this was actually a step backwards for a lot of our kids this year. I don't think the satellite thing, never mind this other model, I don't think the satellite thing is working.
Okay. You have a question?
yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason I didn't even know about the reading clinic until they tried to close it last year. And there wasn't even supposed to be a budget crisis then. And now, you know, it's happening again. And since the money's been raised and somebody's been talking about you need to fix the budget, I think I want to bring one thing. Everybody here, I think, is aware generally that the money's not being spent right in this district, it's too top heavy. I just want to, there's been OEA, and I've been helping with this, that's why I'm particularly aware of it, has been looking at least at the, comparing this district to other districts in the county. So if you look at, so there's money, I mean, this fiscal crisis right now doesn't have to be fixed at the expense of a program that's, I mean, the reason this was so powerful to me is, this isn't theoretical. We know this works. So we know that what's going to be done, and according to everybody who knows, this is going to be a diminution. And yet the district spends about, if you compare it to all other Alameda County districts, we spend $22.5 million more on administration in this district than the average, or rather than the median, right, the norm, the middle, in Alameda County. And about $33 million more on outside contracts. That's $55.5 million right there. Now, it doesn't mean you could look and you just lop all that off. You'd have to look at it, but clearly there's something wrong here. And instead of addressing it by really bringing this district in line with the, and maybe some of the reasons are, yes, we have different services, different populations. I'm sure that there's some explanations that might be valid. But this is way out of whack. I mean, we're at the top and way beyond what the other districts spend. So I think that's where the money needs to come from, and not by cutting a $1 million program that is so effective. That's my understanding, $1 million a year, and that the district will end up spending more, or at least comparable or more, to serve far fewer students, whoever, and those are the ones who can afford a lawyer to demand to educate their educational rights.
Opportunity to collect the feedback that you're giving us. What we had planned is after people from our reading clinic did the proposal, that you would be able to give us written feedback. And I'd like us to transition into that, so that way you'll have opportunity to write these things down, and then we can come back for another meeting and work some more with the reading clinic staff. As Nina mentioned before, we had a couple of sessions, but we still are working out other items like some of the transportation logistics. And then what we've also heard from the reading clinic staff is that when they're at a school site, they may not have the right space, or principal may not really fully understand what the reading clinic staff is doing, and also know that they have a lot of reading knowledge to offer to the staff there at the school site. And so we want to work on a memo of understanding, so that way if it's at Hoover, the principal understands the services, and that they value the use of the reading clinic there at their school site. So those are next steps, but to gather your input, so that way we have a way of collecting it all, we're going to pass out white paper for you to work in your groups, and then we'll come back and share as a whole group. And I see your hand, so yes.
I just have one question. And this question is for everybody. Everybody for the reading parents. I don't know how many parents are in here, but I would like to know who wants to go to the, like, if we don't go to any conclusion with them, who wants to go to the district? Because I'm on it. I'm on it, and let's go together and do it together. So, who is on it to sue the district?
Sue the district.
I want to see hands. Who wants to sue the district?
I'll do it. Sue the district.
Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question. I didn't hear your question.
I'm just trying to figure out people that are making all these decisions. I'm not quite sure how they're balancing out with all this. Are you guys elected, or you just employees, guaranteed jobs? I don't understand. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how is it that you have such job security and you're like, not gonna be honest.
So we're opening high school district staff, and we're employed as all of OUSD employees are employed. So we're not elected officials.
So who, I guess, who created this section of the budget?
Who created the budget?
No, who created this section? To take away the meeting place. Whose decision was that?
So how do we get our allocation? Is that the?
Who decided to take away the meeting?
So just in terms of like budget, we're given a budget.
No, what I'm trying to figure out is who made this decision? Can someone give us the name of the person who decided to cut the reading clip? Yes.
I'm assuming that you're asking for my name, but what?
Who made the decision? Who looked through the budget, all the numbers,
Yes, that
and
was-
all those charts, and said, oh, well, this couple of $1 million right here, this needs to go away because we need to save money. Who made that decision?
Well, what I'm trying to explain to you, that's me, but what I'm trying to explain to you is that we're given a certain amount of money, and you have to provide the services to students that it's written into their IEPs, and that's what we did first. And then after that, we have additional services that we're providing as support. So we have what we call a network structure, and that sits like a central office people, and we have a reading clinic for additional support. And so
your network structure, they sit as an office depot. What does that look like when we go to sign our kids up for classes? Is that the special education classroom?
no, so it's a support that's given to the school sites when they're implementing special education services. So in order to do the reading clinic as we have it right now, we had to make reductions in other supports because we're working within an amount of money. We're not going to get more money.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was the ABC step, like most of them.
Yeah.
So everyone else, because when you're talking fast and you're just moving, a lot of us feel that we're not getting a clear answer, like, yes and no, and A and B and C, like you require our children to do. So, are you saying that you're the one who decided in the budget that, however you justified in your mind, that you needed to cut away at the only thing that is keeping our children from winding up in jail because they have no education, which affects their ability to feel like a human being, that they have promise, like you feel you have promise, and I'm pretty sure your children feel like they have all of these opportunities. Because if you didn't have those type of children, you would understand why all of us and the ones that are not here to speak, and for the children that don't have someone to speak for them, are so devastated and just dumbfounded how you can take that little bit of hope away from them. So I guess I'm trying to get to, with you, like the ABC steps is, out of all the things in the budget, I don't hear you taking away sports, I don't hear you taking away this, I don't understand why you guys got a couple of $1 million from a private donation last year, and now you're getting a new soup kitchen. I don't understand how you're figuring out all these budget decisions, but you're taking away the reading clinic that most kids in there had to go to court and litigate to get, which is just wrong right there. But it's the only thing. Do you understand? It's the only thing that's keeping such a large population of children feeling like they can even go to another school and take an assessment test, that they even want to go to school. And you think that that's okay because someone messed up the budget, but the kids who have learning differences has to suffer. And there's so many other ways that you can take this out. But the kids who, I just don't, I don't understand race. But I just want to know who makes that final decision.
So
if you're saying that you do.
No. So you're talking about district budget, the overall allocations, and that's done by our superintendent. So we're given a certain amount of money, and that's why I'm trying to explain that we have to work within the amount of money that's allocated to special education. So I'm not making a decision to not fund special education and fund something else in our district. Within that amount of money that we have, yes. So that is a decision that I made along with our interim superintendent. That's my supervisor. And we worked within the allocation that was given to special education.
And are you guys going to talk to the incoming superintendent? Is she going to be able to weigh in on that?
She's a finalist. She'll start July 1st. So yes.
Important thing to share, Sandra, is that when the allocation for the reading teachers went to 5, there were cuts made at their cuts and program specialists, sometimes office. All the director positions were cut here in our special education office as well. So there were cuts made from other parts of this department to increase the amount of teachers as well.
Can we ask what those might be? What other cuts, what other programs within special education? What does that look like?
Central office staff.
Staff.
Okay. And the documentary.
Staff at the meeting too. Staff and work staff.
Yeah. So Sandra, the CSU wrote a letter after the last meeting and really questioned cutting any special education funds at all because over the last several years, especially with the increases, we've been underfunded. So we've been operating like basically at a deficit for years before the budget crisis happened. And so I think we have to have a really serious conversation with the board about any cuts coming into special education because we've already, my analogy was like a community that's been operating at low level water usage when the drought comes and then they're asked to cut into drought, like basically into water that will keep people alive. I'm not sure, like to me, I think it's completely unfair that you had to make any decisions and to me, the superintendent, both the interim and the incoming and the board are the elected people that really need to be held accountable for this. There's a lot, like with this past superintendent, that in terms of the way funds were allocated in the district and the level that was going to central positions that I was really questionable. So for me, I feel like, yes, we need to fight for the reading clinic. I actually have a son who's not in the reading clinic, which I would like to have intensive reading services for. So I get the intention to expand because not all kids who need it get it. But I don't think it should be at the expense of the quality of the program. And so to me, all of us, I think, really need to put a lot of pressure on the elected folks in the district for asking. And there's a value that's been put out, like the cuts shouldn't impact students. And it's not just a school site, it's not just a classroom for kids with special education. It's programs that are centrally coordinated. So it's a different, it's a different calculation for our kids because a classroom alone and a teacher alone isn't going to cut it, right? So to me, and special education is often scapegoated as being so expensive, and the reason why the district has budget crisis, and I don't buy that. Like I think folks need to be accountable for spending patterns, but also for actually funding special education in a real way.
As the number of students increases, like the first slide, right, it's showing that there's 500 more students coming into special ed, so you would think that the money would follow that.
Right.
And that the need for our program would only increase.
I saw a couple of hands go up. I think you made it.
I am a parent that doesn't get services from the reading clinic, but I do know that when our kids don't have and when the programs are being cut and services are being cut, that it affects all of our communities, it affects our neighborhoods. And so I've been trying to pay very close attention to the cuts that are happening across the district at different school sites, especially schools that serve low-income students. And so I think that we all need to really demand that one, look at like who the different groupings of students are where these cuts are going to be falling and hitting, and demand that they not touch special ed. I think that should be a demand. And that includes the reading clinic. The other thing is that when that program is, like, as it sort of disappears, it looks like that's what's happening over time, it's very hard to get back. So it's one thing to have something protected, it's another thing to lose it, and getting it back is almost impossible. So that's something to really think about, and the school board is going to be hearing the first budget proposal on June 14th, or the first pass, I guess, of what all these current cuts are looking like, and then they're going to be voting on June 28th. So everybody here, there's so much heart in this room, and it doesn't have to stop. And hopefully you will all consider, talking to your school board members, going to those meetings on 14th and 28th, and even, sitting down in Sunda's office and in the hallway, which other parents are doing from other schools. They're going to the central office and they're making themselves at home in the hallways to make sure that the programs don't get cut. So something that you guys might want to consider too.
Since we're potentially cutting kids from the district, how are you gonna decide who gets it? I mean, there's obviously legal cuts to those who already have IEPs, and that we already either have it in writing or recorded or whatever those be. How are you gonna decide who else is gonna get added on top of the kids that have already been promised in their previous IEP that they will get service? How is that gonna be that decision process? Is that something that's gonna be done based on region?
I mean, again, it would be based on the referrals coming in. But again, if we're down to 36 spots, it's a real, it's based on, me and my team making a decision on a student based on that.
Now, do you have data as to how many already have pre-approved services going into this year?
Yeah, I mean,
and how many? Because
it's kind of
20. I mean, you said that we were at 60 last year. Yeah. So obviously, not everyone makes sufficient gains to be cut off from the reading clinic. So out of those 36, if we're cutting 20, we would like to see the comparison of how many we're pushing in from last year and how many we're actually adding this year. Yeah. Because if out of those 60, we have 24 coming from last year, and only 6 kids are going to receive it, or 10. Yeah. We would like to see some data.
Yeah, I would like to have open to as many kids as possible. But as in the constraints that it is, right, we have to make those tough decisions.
We really like to see that the decisions are made equitably and not based on who has an attorney.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I think that's definitely, it's some things where we get our hands tied, but in other cases, there's spots that are open. But the main, and for me, right, as this goes on, and we're going to sit and write our proposals, whatever it is, and I'm still unclear about what's actually going to happen next year, and I have to answer the questions to all the families and to the community. It's a challenge, right? Because my referrals just keep stacking up, and it's hard for me to make a decision on what we want to do because plans are way more.
But can you give me examples of those criteria? criteria are? I mean, would it be grade level, would it be laying out all of the IEP or the referrals and saying, well, this kid has a greater need, and so it's just gonna come down to the ones with the highest need, maybe the top 4?
This speaks to my job, which can be a logistic nightmare, but I'm looking through the referrals, I'm looking for kids who cognitively can make a big gain in 1 year, right, in the reading skills, and also then it comes down to, okay, well, I have these 3 sites in these geographic locations, I don't want to have to bus a kid across town unnecessarily, I have to make those sort of decisions as well. But yeah, I'm really looking for kids with a high level of need, which also, for me, which I think is kind of devastating to lose the self-contained program, because the self-contained program can serve those kids who need not only reading, but also math.
So you're not going to have that class anymore then? And then, because I just a little bit of just the basic numbers, it says here, serve at least 85 students directly. How many did we serve last year?
Well, so if you missed the first part of it, so again, there's 56 being served currently. 56 at the clinic. There's about 18 more in the SDC inclusion model. But basically, what's happening is we're losing an MTD and also we're losing the self-contained model. But we're also trying to run 2 groups in the afternoon after school sites. Exactly. And the kids who are after school sites.
My daughter, who since September, she's now writing letters, which couldn't be here, but she wanted to come tonight and just basically say thank you, because without Mr. Strauss and without Barbara, we would not have that. Now, her twin brother, on the other hand, is, they're just at a grade finishing up, he's still at getting first grade level reading, and struggles every single day. We work with them. And I'm having a really hard time, and that's why I was coming tonight, because of the chance we may not have services next year. And it's hard for me, seeing the sister so advanced now, and he's still not, and it's something that we have to build confidence, but without that, I don't know if he should be going to 3rd grade, or if we need to stay back. So I just,
Unfortunately, it's going to make, for my wife to be really challenging, to make a lot of hard decisions about, who's being served, which is unfortunate.
Okay, so if you agree to stay maybe another 15 minutes, so that way we can select, if you don't mind just writing down at your table the feedback that you're providing us now. So some of the things that you raised, it would be great so that we can take a record of that and then continue to work on this model. Something that I'd like to also just offer is that when we start CAC meetings, we would ask the CAC leadership to have a constant time to both give the community budget updates and also who we're serving in the reading clinic, so that way you can see the student body. Because it sounds like you want the data for who we're serving. So you can definitely provide that at the CAC monthly meeting. But if you take the opportunity, we'll pass out some markers. If you would please write down the feedback that you're giving us, so that way we have a way to capture it.